Yo, 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 yo. What is up, everybody? This is your host, Big Corpse, and this is the smoking section, where I try to bring you the hottest topics with fire conversation every single time. So check it out, man. I'm on the road right now. I'm heading home. I'm going from LA County. The roads right now are super clear. It's really crazy. I want to take the time to tell everybody that I hope that you guys are staying safe, staying clean, and prepared with this coronavirus pandemic that's going on, worldwide, man. This is crazy. Like, I hope one day I can go back to this very podcast, and kind of compare and contrast what's been going on. The United States right now is in a national state of emergency. So, like, honestly, it's kind of scary. You know what I mean? I've never experienced something like this on this type of scale. We've had bird flu and swine flu and even anthrax back in 2001, or it was like 2002, which was a bioweapon, being released into the American population. And it's just scary, you know what I mean? But you got to keep your head up, you got to pray up, and just stay aware, stay healthy. Don't be eating any weird food. Try to cook at home, and be mindful and thoughtful of the people around us. Check it out. Also, I want you guys to check out corpsecollection.com. That's KORPSX collection.com. That's my clothing brand, as you guys probably already know, or if this is your first time hearing it. I do have a clothing brand that is geared towards, gang violence, gun violence, and mental health awareness, and something that I kind of use, in parallel with my podcasts, with my vlogs, and that's my main source of income that helps me support my family, that helps me support this podcast. So if you support my dreams, if you support this life that I live, go buy a t-shirt, go buy a beanie, go buy a pair of shades, all very high quality. I've never had a complaint. And even if I had the smallest of, I don't want to say backlash, but, like some grumbling, I get it corrected. Customer service is 100%. So go check that out. Today's podcast, listen. So as you guys know, 2020 is my year for mental health awareness. And something that I've been noticing, something I have been taking more time to be aware of with what I'm doing. And hence the title of this episode, which is screen time. So a lot of us Apple users, I don't know exactly if Android has this feature, but I know for Apple users, we have a feature on our phone where you can swipe to the right, pulling up a panel of icons and different things, right? It'll show you your text messages, it'll show you some local news, but it also has a little division there on the screen for our screen time usage, which I thought was the coolest thing ever when I first got my phone. Now, the thing that I want us to start looking at is two things: screen and the word time, right? And I want us to dissect this a little bit, right? So our screen time, right? Let's start off with that. Why is it that as our civilization has evolved, as society has evolved, we have began to look at more and more screens, right? Let's look back into history. First, it started off with the radio, right? Which isn't necessarily a screen, right? But it was this little box contraption that voices were coming out of. And people back in the day, would say, oh my God, this is the devil. This is, blasphemy. This is this and this is that. And it was so strange because in our home now, we are hearing other people's voices. We're hearing the news. We're hearing of trouble from around the world. Little did people know that, so many years later, this radio would evolve into a television screen, Then, along with the birth of this television screen, you had TV shows, movies, and all these great things that followed along with it. You know, it gave the birth to the cinema, you know. And as we continued, you know, we continued forward with this style of living for a very long time. That mode of living progressed, or I wouldn't say progressed, but it kind of plateaued for a very long time until we progressed, right? From the progression of the television set came the birth of the computer, right? Laptops and computers. So not only could I watch a television show, but I could get onto this device and type up papers, which led to the death of the typewriter, right? Which led to the death of certain technologies, right? Hold on, I'm setting it up. So let's progress forward now. We took these television sets and computer screens, and during our progression, we compacted these things and combined them and turned it into a cell phone. The cell phone has a lot of the same features as a computer and a lot of the same features as a television set, let alone the base functionality of a telephone. So not only could I communicate through audio discussion, right, through actual verbal words, right, but I could take this phone and I can actually bring up the image of my face or somebody else's face, in which we call FaceTime. Screen time, FaceTime. Interesting. Now, a part of us, I now believe, right, because of these screens are addicted to them. We have to have them. We have to see one, because so much of our DNA now is accustomed to having these things in our life, right? Like, our DNA is so much different than that of the people who lived 3,000 years ago, because they didn't have this shit, right? Our DNA enhances as our way of living changes, right? We adapt, we evolve, right? So physically, we may have evolved through the times, you know, and we're able to combat certain diseases and viruses and sicknesses, and we can withstand certain weathers now and all these things. But now, moving away from our title of screen time, now moving into time, I think now through time, socially, mentally, we are now devolving, because our disconnection from the normal world, our world is now being sucked into these phones, into these screens, right? Whether it's your laptop, television screen, or your cell phone screen, right? Tablet screens. Screens are everywhere. There's screens in our cars now, right? The Teslas now have an autopilot feature, right? And also Netflix now, like Netflix built into the machine. Now, I don't know if you can watch Netflix and drive at the same time, but that doesn't mean the capability is very far out. But over time, I believe I have now noticed, you know, especially with the people that I hang out with, you know, I don't want to say that all over the world, but I do believe that it is a global thing, that we are becoming more socially awkward. We're becoming more socially dependent and socially, you know, attached to these things in a very, very negative way, right? I want anybody who has an Apple phone, I want you to take your phone today at, let's say, 11 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, right before you go to bed. If you're an early sleeper, you know, 9 o'clock, 9:30, whatever. Right before you go to bed, right, I want you to swipe over and look at your screen time. Now, most Americans, I do mean Americans, that I have spoke to one-on-one, because, you know, I'm not traveling globally, but most of the Americans that I speak with tell me that they put everywhere between 6 to 8 hours of screen time in a day. Which, I mean, it's, look, like, I'm not here to judge you, you know, I'm not here to judge anybody, But I just think that if you're putting in 6 to 8 hours of screen time, like, what are we doing? What are you doing in those 6 to 8 hours of screen time? You know, really cool about the feature on the iPhone is that it'll give you a breakdown of it. You know, is it entertainment? Is it productivity? Is it social media networking? Like, what is it? And the question we need to begin to ask ourselves, especially if you're somebody who's putting in 6 to 8 hours, is what are you doing on that screen for that time, right? Is it helping you make money? Are you using it for escapism? Are you just aimlessly, you know, toggling between app and app and app and app and app and this and that? Like, what are we doing? We got to begin to ask ourselves these questions. Because if you're putting in 6 to 8 hours, like, newsflash, my friend, that is a fucking work shift. That is a normal work shift. Even 4 hours, that's part-time. That means you're living part-time on your phone every single day, right? And myself, you know, I got onto this hunch about it. And, you know, being a single dad, when I have my son, I started to realize how much time I was on my phone while spending time with my son. And it made me ask the question, you know, am I really paying attention to him? Am I really spending time with him? You know, yeah, he's 2 and there's not much conversation we can have, and it's been the winter time, so we can't really, you know, go outside and play and all these things. But it's like, you know, he won't be a baby forever, you know. And even at 2 years old, there's still things that me and him can do together. We can play with the blocks, we can color, play tag, wrestle, dance, read a book, you know. And me and my son have a tradition and a ritual now of me telling him a bedtime story every night before bed. Like, I pull away his, like, he has a little tablet that I let him play on. Not much. You know, I'll give him about an hour of tablet time. That's it. And of course, me and him watch movies together. And he's really good about not getting stuck on the TV. He's a lot better than his dad. He'll watch his movies, you know, we'll watch Power Rangers, and he'll hop away from the Power Rangers and want to go play, right? Which I love about my son. And we'll go play. And the big thing is I'm trying to make sure that my time with him is well spent, right? All time is not quality time, is my new motto. All time is not quality time. Quality time is quality time, you know. And that leads me to the belief that we got to start understanding where we are putting our time. How much of our time is being enslaved into these phones? How much time, how much energy and effort are we really pouring in to social media scrolling, right? Or reading these emails, right? Or watching Netflix on our phone, right? There's a lot of American households that you can walk into where the family can all be in the living room, right? Quote unquote, spending quality time, quote unquote. But they're all on their phones while supposedly watching a movie together as a family, right? Like, you know, you might have mom and dad really watching the movie, but then the son and daughter are texting their friends, or they're scrolling through Instagram, or they're snapping on Snapchat, or, you know, the older brothers and sisters are on Tinder, or whatever they're doing, right? And we got to start being able to unplug ourselves from these things. And I know it's kind of like contradictory, because here I am recording a podcast while I'm driving home. But, you know, I take these 5 minutes, these 10 minutes while I'm doing this, because, I mean, I can multitask. I can talk and drive at the same time. But I take this time because this is my 15 to 20 minutes of quiet time while driving home from work, you know. And the real questions that we got to begin to ask ourselves is, what is this screen time doing to our real life time, right? Because now we are starting to build a life inside of social media, inside of our emails, inside of our LinkedIn, inside of these things, these Netflix, right? Where people get frustrated if they don't get to watch the episode of their favorite show on Netflix, right? Or you're watching all these crazy fucking documentaries that make no sense on Hulu, right? Now, yeah, a lot of these things are commodities, and yeah, a lot of them are, you know, they're good to have. That 15, 30 an hour of escapism on Netflix is great. I'm not saying not have those times. I'm not saying that. But if you're putting in 10 hours on your phone, like, do the math. If you're putting 10 hours of screen time in out of a 24-hour day that you sleep 8 hours, let's say 6 hours of, that's 16 hours out of a 24-hour day, right? That leaves you with 8 hours. That's a work shift. So where does this screen time fall in? Is it while you're driving? Is it while you're at work? Is it while you're spending time with your significant other? Is it while you're spending time with your family? These are the questions we got to start to ask ourselves. These are the things that we need to become aware of. You will drastically change your life if you begin to slowly, just slowly, ever so slowly, move yourself away from these things, right? Me, I used to spend a lot of time on Instagram, liking pictures, scrolling, refreshing the feed, seeing who viewed my story, seeing who viewed this and viewed that. Now sometimes me as a business owner, especially a clothing brand, that I do a lot of my work for my brand, my marketing and all that stuff through Instagram. So yeah, I'm gonna have 3 or 4 hours worth of scroll time or screen time on there. But now what I'm trying to do is take that number and make it smaller. So I'm trying to become more efficient for when I'm on Instagram. So the aimless scrolling is out. The aimless liking and commenting on pictures is out. Like I really have to double down and become more effective. Now, I'm not saying that my 4 hours is going to diminish down to 2 hours. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I might still spend 4 hours, but I'm posting and engaging with my, my followers, and I'm messaging, brand ambassadors and being better with my time. Because if we are not sharp, we will become slaves to the screen. And next thing we know, it'll be like the Matrix. And we'll be living in a virtual reality of a reality that all we have to do is pick our head up and we can enjoy it, right? And we have a lot of social anxiety these days. I've heard more and more people talk about social anxiety. And it's my big belief that a lot of these anxieties are being brought by social media, right? And by text messages and by emails, right? So we can go all the way back to the early 90s and go all the way to email, where a response to somebody who is speaking with us can take 2 or 3 days, right? We can actually, look at an email and take a day, take a whole 24 hours to articulate our response, right? And our response, though, when we're ready to make it, happens, bam, instantly, right? So I feel like a lot of social anxiety is coming because we're face to face with somebody within arm's reach, having a conversation, and it's happening, bam, 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 bam. And over time, our brain has been trained, to take time, articulate, which is great, right? But when you put it in a social setting, when you take that type of philosophy and put it into a real life social setting, like I'm talking about going to a bar or a party or meeting somebody at a park, and you're trying to have a conversation, your brain begins to shut down because you want to be able to look at what they said a few times and then respond. Which conversation with another human being should not be that difficult. It should not be that hard. I believe that technology has kind of made us, digress into this type of more of like a weird, like primal type of communication, right? Like we have, as humans now, more and more we have gotten into these preloaded, pre-automated responses to people. You know what I mean? Hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing good, good. Oh, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good, 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 good. Like, you know those conversations. You know those conversations, right? Like when you go and you order some food from a fast food restaurant, right? And they say, oh, enjoy your meal. And you say, oh, yeah, you too. Preloaded response. It's like a Freudian slip, right? Something that's been programmed into our brain, it just comes out. We got to fix these things, people. We got to, please. We got to. If we can't do it for the world, we need to do it for ourselves, right? For our own mental capacity, for our own mental well-being, right? And I just hope one person listens to this podcast and understands what I'm saying and understands that it starts with one person, right? And so here I am trying to spread the message, right? So it's really up to us to kind of make these things fulfilled. And I promise you guys, if you guys really start to pay attention more and more to your screen time, if you pay more and more attention to where we're putting our energy, our effort, our whole social life, right? Our whole life as human beings, if we start to understand where we are putting it, we will become a lot more happy. We'll become a lot more satisfied and fulfilled with the conversations that we do have on a day-to-day basis. Our friendships will become more filling. Everything will have more and more to it because the substance behind it will be that much greater because we'll actually be connected to the conversation. Listen, let me know what you guys think about this. I'm about to pick up my son. I miss him dearly, and we're going to have some father and son time tonight. And let me know what you guys think about this. Hit me up on Instagram or on Twitter at Korpsx, KORPSX. Let me know your guys' opinions, your feelings, and what you might want me to talk about next. Yeah, I love when I have interactions with all my listeners, and I love to conversate. Yeah, so message me and I'll get back to you guys, all right? But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, year, and life, all right? Stay motivated out there. Bang. Yo, what up, everybody? I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. It would mean the absolute world to me, and I mean the world to me, if you guys could just retweet, share it, tell your friends about it, and hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you guys are listening to this to. Again, it would mean the world, man, and I truly appreciate every single one of you. All right? Have a blessed day.